I hope you are having a slayful day. My name is Flick and you're listening to Hardhatsnheels, recorded at FlexiDesk's Sunshine Coast. Hello everybody. So we actually have a guest on the podcast today. So we have Tammy. She's a qualified sparky and full-time at TradeMutt, but I'm just going to hand you over to her so she can tell you who she is, what she's about and where she's from.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here, share my journey and tell you a little bit about myself in the industry. So I started out as an electrician at 17. I spent 11 years in the trade before moving over to TradeMutt full-time to start working and talking about the blue-collar industry, the mental health, and how we can better that. So working full-time with TradeMutt now, but still director of our electrical company in Victoria, so still get a good say in what's going on there. So a mix of both worlds at the moment.
Beautiful, and that's what we want. Somebody who's, caring about mental health among the industry, like the generations for years to come. It's really in the hands of us and how we take care of them. And in this industry, like we all know, if you're in the industry, it can be tough. But yeah, that's exactly what we need. But you know the drill. We're going to jump into our Friday knockoffs. I'm going to go first. So I worked a 2-day work week this week. It was beautiful. I was supposed to have 3 weeks of holidays like I was telling you guys, but I am a workaholic and I accidentally started working those 3 weeks. So we had a 2-day work week this week to try and make up for the fact I didn't take my 3 weeks holiday. But yeah, it was really just what my body needed. But what would your Friday knockoff be?
So my Friday knockoff would be, I had a pretty crazy week last week, and to be fair, shared online that I was in a pretty rough spot.
Yeah.
So this week I actually had a really great week after looking after myself, and it would have been bad for this to happen last week, but dropped my phone yesterday, smashed it completely, knew I was driving to the Sunshine Coast today and realised that I can't live without my phone because I will not know how to get here. So it was slightly stressful, but we made it here, got a new phone and we're sorted. So yeah.
Look at that. See, at least it happens. Timing is everything.
Yes, very much
I
so.
keep on telling you guys this, timing is everything. All right, so we're going to jump straight in. So your trade journey, what inspired you to become a sparky? What's the vision behind it?
Yeah, it was kind of a, spur of the moment decision in year 11. So I was studying to be a radiographer, sonographer through school. I was at a private college and they were pretty much telling us we had to do university. Fortunately enough, my family were in the trade. So my dad's an electrician, my mum's a horticulturist. So I was exposed to what a trade could be like, and I started working on the weekends with Dad and really realised that I enjoy doing stuff with my hands, being on the tools, and started reflecting on what that might look like. So I approached them one day and asked them if I could do it, and left school and started my trade journey there.
So cool. That's kind of similar to me. I was either going to go into childcare or pharmacy. My mum and my grandma both work at pharmacies and everyone was trying to push me to uni. And I was like, guys, I kind of feel like this really isn't my calling. Mm-hmm. And then, I fell into the industry. But yeah, that's so cool. Early days, do you have any challenges, standout moments that you want to highlight? Anything you can think of?
Yeah, look, it was nearly 13 years ago now. Early days, I was very intimidated. I didn't realise, how young I was in the industry and how isolated I was going to be as a female. I just kind of went in a bit naive, to be fair, which was probably good because I probably wouldn't have done it if I knew the journey I had ahead, right? I do remember, though, very clearly in the first couple of weeks realising that I did not swear like a tradie, and I was so shocked by everyone and their way they spoke to me. I was so offended. Then started to realise it's just the way of the world, and I have definitely got the mouth of a tradie now. So that was a bit of a shock to the system, but it's definitely built some character in me.
Yeah. It's so good to hear, though, that you were a little bit naive going into the industry, because I feel like I was also a little bit naive going into the industry. My first week, my first actual day on a job site, I walked across a fresh slab of concrete after the concreters had just finished screeding it. And my boss was like, you can't yell at her, she's a girl. But thanks for you, been in the industry so long, you're helping paving the way for me so that when I came into the industry, they weren't as tough on me.
We definitely made our mistakes early days. I dug a trench the first week and then a couple of weeks later I got thrown in a ceiling and I was like, do I stand on the plaster or do I stand on the timber? I don't actually know what I'm doing. And the naivety was, very humbling.
Yeah, it is so humbling, especially being so young and not having a lot of females around you. I was 17, same age you were when you got into the industry. And I was like, whoa, where am I? What have I done? Mm-hmm. But now I feel confident on my own 2 feet and I'd walk around yelling at those boys all day. Mm-hmm. So So now you are full-time with TradeMutt now. So why did you get involved with them? Or how did you get involved with them? Give us a story.
Bit of a story. Obviously, I have a bit of an online presence with Sparky Voss, where I was sharing my journey in the trade, the challenges I was facing, talking about mental health, my relationship with it, and the reasons I am, the way I am. And I stumbled across them in 2019, just after they'd done their Portaloo challenge. They were on social media and I loved what they were doing. So I reached out to them to do a couple giveaways and just start working with them as a brand because I really respected them. And build our relationship there with Dan and Ed quite strongly, which was awesome. Had them as a bit of support through some really hard times in my life, which was really cool. And then come into 2023, I was really burnt out post-COVID in Victoria. I was running the company as managing director and realised that maybe I just need to make a change, but wasn't really actively looking for a change until Dan called me one day and planted a little seed about an opportunity they might have in Brisbane. And I got off the phone and my gut was kind of telling me to explore it a little bit more, as scary as it was. I took that call and here I am, a year and a half later, still up in Queensland and loving the journey with the team at TradeMutt.
Yeah. And I saw, I was having a little stalk on your social media before you came in, and I saw that you recently posted an app saying that you're the time that you've taken away from being on the tools has actually really helped you come to really enjoy being back on the tools and really gave you that sense of refreshment, I guess. But so chat a bit more about that. So do you think you're going to go back on the tools? Do you have a plan? Or
I'm full-time committed to TradeMutt. I can't say do no. I'm not leaving TradeMutt anytime soon. I absolutely love what I'm doing there. It's my passion. I feel like it's a bit of a purpose at the moment for me. Drives me to continue to help people, but taking some time away from the tools made me realize that, I love, there's a reason I fell in love with the trade, and I definitely fell out of love with the trade in the later years of my career. And then I guess being able to go back onto the tools and just fiddle around has been a way to fall back in love with being on the tools, because there was a bit of resentment towards the end where I was like, this trade is not for me. I was doubting myself. Taking that break has been really refreshing, and I definitely still love getting on the tools. I'll pick up work here where I can, just to refine my skills a little bit and stay involved in the industry. But at the moment, full-time at TradeMutt.
Beautiful. And that's what we like to hear. And being a woman in this industry, especially, it can make you feel some days why am I even doing this? You can be a seasoned pro all you like, and still everyone has their days where they get to the end of the day and they're like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? I feel it time and time again when I feel out of my depths or just overwhelmed. I'm like, maybe I should just freaking go sit behind a computer or something. Maybe I should just go work at a fish and chip shop, something like that. A little bit easier, but it's so nice to hear. And I guess it's a comforting feeling for girls and young women coming up in the industry that even everyone has their days like that. You've been in the industry for so long, you were definitely a seasoned pro, and you still feel like this. So if you're not going to take it from me, take it from her. So what's your actual role there? Specific role, and what does your day-to-day look like?
So my job title is Head of Community and Impact. It's one of those job titles that you get, I guess, when you move into an office and you're still trying to figure out what it means. I know what an electrician is, but office roles are very different, which is awesome because it means I get to do a whole lot of stuff and test out a lot of different areas that I'm interested in and learn a lot about the business. So day-to-day is very different depending on what we've got coming up. I have the opportunity to go to events and speak in front of people, speak to crowds, talk about our journey, and I think that that's what really fills my cup, is just speaking to our community about how important the mental health is of our tradies and how we can support them, as well as I pretty much run all their socials. So if you're ever DMing people on TradeMutt, it is me that is replying to you, so be kind. I run all their social media, help with making content, getting out, speaking to different tradies on site, and then organising things like photo shoots and just random marketing stuff that I am learning, because obviously I have a Cert 3 in electrotechnology, so marketing is a whole new world to me. But yeah, every day is different, and really fortunate to still be around people, because it was one of my big things leaving the trade. I was so scared of sitting behind a desk every day. I knew I would probably go crazy. So I've made it a really key part of my journey with TradeMutt is to make sure I still get to go out and be with my people.
Yeah, that's so cool that you get to like have such like a different aspect of it, and every day, like every single day is different. That's what whenever anyone asks me why I love civil, I say that because no day is the same, because it's like jack of all trades, master of none. But yeah, that's so cool that you get to go and see all these like cool people and go to events and like speak in front of people, which I was actually talking to someone about this week, and they're like, I could not think of anything worse than speaking in front of people. And I'm like, put me in front of like 10,000 people and I would speak fluently. Like, no stress. And it's, yeah, really like people like you and I that, you know, they need to put us on this big stage so we can let our like opinions and thoughts be heard, because you know, like I'm out here promoting for women in construction. You just said that you're trying to like really promote for like mental health in the industry, which May is Mental Health Month. Mm-hmm. So this is comes at a perfect time. Yeah. So back onto that mental health trade culture. So why do you think like mental health is so important on like a job site?
Yeah. I think this is like, it's such a big scary word, right? So I guess at TradeMutt, we're really trying to break it down into just the feeling of connection, because everyone goes on their own mental health journey. We're going to have our highs, we're going to have our lows. We talk about situational stresses at TradeMutt, which can lead to a bigger mental health journey if you don't actually get on top of those situational stresses. So, you know, life could be stressing you with a relationship, and then work gets stressful, and then finance gets stressful, and all of a sudden it becomes a bigger problem. So we talk about managing those situational stresses through connection on site, whether it's through a shirt, whether it's through a conversation, and just building a really strong culture with your team so people can express when they're going through those, you know, ups and downs of life that we are all 100% going to face. Like no one gets out of this freely. And really trying to break down those barriers where, you know, where the tough tradie culture, like we can't talk, all that kind of stuff. It's like, no, we can talk. We might just talk a little differently, and it might just take us a little longer. But once you actually start talking, it's really helpful for you. It's helpful for your team to understand what you're going through and what extra support you might need, or maybe why you might be reacting to a situation differently to everyone else. And it's because what's actually going on under the surface. So I think it's just, instead of like making it scary and being like, oh, you know, like, you know, they've got bad mental health. It's like, actually, they're just going through a bit at the moment, and maybe they just need a little bit more support right now. And as a team, like, let's bring them up.
Yeah. And I feel like that's something that I always say that I bring to the table, being a woman. We tend to be able to talk about our feelings and what we're going through like a lot easier than men. And I know that if my boss turns around and flies off the handle at me, I'm like, are you just having a bad day? And a lot of the time that they kind of step back, they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, oh, well, I know that if someone's snapping at me, it's not because I'm doing something wrong. You're probably having a bad day. Are you okay? Mm-hmm. And again, it's all about starting those conversations. I see so many TradeMutt shirts out on the like construction site, and it's always such a relieving feeling, especially me being a girl. I process things a lot differently to the boys, and I do need to talk about my feelings, and God knows I talk about my feelings at work. Those boys are like, Flick, can you please stop talking? But yeah, like anyone who's really close to me, last year I went through a really tough time. I was quite sick last year, and I had the most beautiful support. The boys were so good to me and took such good care of me. And I feel like at the end of the day, you spend more time with the boys at work or the people you work with than you do with anyone. Like 10 hours a day I spend with them at work. That's more time than my family. So if something's up in my life, they're going to be the people that are going to know that something's going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's so important what you guys are doing, that we're creating those conversations around mental health and being like, oh, well, this is just stress. Like, how are we going to manage and deal with it? So yeah, I love what you guys are doing with TradeMutt. It's one of the reasons we have you on the podcast today. So what changes have you seen in the industry? Obviously, you've been in the industry a really long time, or do you want to see that you think are going to help take that journey of, you know, making conversations easier?
Yeah, I think, you know, we've got a long way to go, definitely, but change is happening. It definitely doesn't happen quick, which is okay. I guess I look back, and part of my journey is my dad's mental health, and the reason I'm here probably is because of seeing the lack of support and the lack of empathy there was around mental health 30 to 40 years ago, and how that's really taking its toll now on the older generation. You know, like the stats are like 30 to 40-year-old men are like the highest risk of suicide. And I look back on potentially the way they were treated growing up and their lack of opportunity to speak up. So I think that by hopefully creating a safer space in this industry and outside of this industry, where giving the younger generation an opportunity to speak up, and hopefully the statistics will change as they grow through as well, because they're going to be a new voice for the way that we speak about, you know, life on the job and life with our friends and family. And that's my biggest hope, is that the younger generation can bring through a new outlook on the way we talk about mental health, and that's hopefully going to shift some of the statistics. And that's the change I'd love to see.
Yeah. And I actually, the first thing that pops into my brain when you're talking about that is when, like, obviously I'm only just finished my traineeship, and like trainees and apprentices, when they make a mistake and they're like tortured over that one mistake, like, everyone's only human, everyone makes mistakes, but you don't realize the impact that your words have on people. Just last week on the podcast, I was saying that my New Year's resolution a few years ago was to have grace for people and understand that everyone's going through something. Like, I said that if you're, you know, going behind someone and they're driving too slow, instead of getting mad at them, I like to try and think they have a cake in the car, they're not trying to squish.
Yeah.
And just trying to teach yourself to have a little bit of grace for people in situations in everyday life, because it's once like we put that into practice, it becomes more natural. So I work with tradies and apprentices and all sorts of people, and I always, like when I have another trainee I work with, and if he makes a mistake at work, I'm like, no, it's okay. Like, we can just try and do this way. Like, you okay? Let me help. And like, our bosses can be hard on us because they want us to be better, but sometimes, you know, it's that bit much, and we're like, oh, okay. So I think it's really important that this next generation really learns to take care of each other so that we can help break those statistics.
Yeah, I think there's definitely in that, there is, you know, we are a hard industry. I'm not going to sugarcoat it and say that there is definitely days where things do need to get done, and we may put pressure on. And, you know, I've definitely kind of grilled my apprentices a couple of times and just really want them to step up. It is such a fine line, though. Like, I hear horror stories of way apprentices are treated, right? But you also sometimes need to just pull people into line and make sure that they understand that we are in an industry that is dangerous, is time pressured, is hard, and sometimes a bit of a slog. So 100% give people grace for making mistakes. Also give apprentices the confidence to speak up about their mistakes, because as soon as they start hiding mistakes, it becomes a bigger problem for the whole company, because you're backtracking, trying to find where things went wrong. But there's definitely a fine line between being so kind that there's no progression because there's no opportunity to learn from your mistakes, and being kind enough to give them the opportunity to make mistakes.
Yeah, that's such a great, like that sentence in itself is such like a real like reminder for every day what it is like on the job site. Because like you said, it's dangerous. Like, I work night shift, so I'm literally out on the road and people don't care. They speed through our job site like 100, and like motorbikes go zoom, we don't even see them. And like, it's such a dangerous industry. So it's like, that real fine line between, you know, making sure that they get home safely at the end of the night, but also making sure that you're taking care of them as a person as well. But I think that the conversations you guys are creating are really going to help, you know, figure out where that line is and figure out how to do it, which is, you know, what I think everyone should be about, not just, you know, guys at TradeMutt. I think everyone should be about it. All right, so you kind of touched on this like with your dad, but any other personal stories, moment where you saw the impact firsthand other than your dad?
Yeah, definitely myself. I'm pretty open and honest on my social media about my journey with my own mental health, and a big part of the start of that journey was watching somebody else suffer quite severely and realising the impact that it was actually having on me as a carer. So my conversation started off being a carer of somebody struggling with mental health, but then also realizing that I probably wasn't looking after my own because I felt like I didn't need the support because I was so busy looking for somebody to get the support, right? So I'm pretty open about the fact that I do struggle with like pretty bad anxiety.
No, we're good.
So pretty open about the fact that I struggle with anxiety in and out. Just last week I posted on my social media that I had a pretty much full-blown meltdown on a Friday afternoon for no reason at all, except for the fact that I was overwhelmed. So Yeah, it's a journey. Like, I feel great this week. I felt terrible last week. And I think that that's just literally what we're talking about. Life stresses can make you and break you at any moment, and just being honest about it and letting people know you're struggling. They can see it. Like, I can see people struggling. They can see you're struggling. You're not on. Just talk about it. They give you the support you need. They might give you the space and time you need. So yeah, it's, you know, I'm not shy to the fact that it's going to keep happening to me, but I have my own, I guess, support mechanisms now and coping mechanisms to hopefully get through it a bit easier.
Yeah. And that's so good to be like so open about like your own mental health journey. I'm also much the same, very open about my mental health journey and like what I've gone through, and like especially my teen years. And I try and like think about the fact that, yeah, this might be like really vulnerable and hard for me to share, but you know, it might help someone to understand that everyone's going through it. I have so many people that I know that I went to school with, and they're like, oh my God, like, you work so hard, you do all this. I'm like, yeah, but I'm just a regular person. Like, at the end of the day, I'm still just Flick. So yeah, it's like trying to, you know, think about that and trying to take care of everyone along the way. And there was something else that I had to say to that, but I literally just lost my train of thought.
Yeah, no, I think a big part of it, now that I'm living the life of advocating for our tradies, I'd be doing myself a disservice if I wasn't honest about my own. Because if you can't be vulnerable about what you're going through, how is somebody else going to open up to you? So I think that that's probably something I remember. Like, this is literally what happened to me on Friday. I had a meeting in the morning, and then I had an opportunity with another company and another podcast, and I posted a photo of myself smiling on my Sparky Boss.
Yeah.
And I was like super excited for the day. Do we have to stop?
No.
Oh, that's okay. I was super excited for the day, and I remember posting a photo smiling, tagging all these companies saying I'm so excited. And then I remember going home that afternoon being like, I actually feel horrible right now. So I was like, I'm not being honest. Like, I'm kind of like masking, and that's exactly what I'm against. So I posted my next story being like, I'm really happy. I love my opportunities, but two feelings can be the same at the same time. So I let everyone know, like, I'm actually like all over the place. I have no idea what's going on. And I think that, yeah, it's just a big reminder to just always be open and honest.
I actually love that you said that you can feel two feelings at the same time, because I feel this so often, because I'm so, like, obviously on socials as well, I love my job. And yeah, I do love my job. But, you know, that doesn't take away from the fact that I'm still human and I still have hard days. And yeah, I feel that so often or not, someone will be like, oh, what's wrong? And I'm like, oh, I just kind of feel off. Like, I can't really put my finger on it. Like, I love my life. My life is beautiful. I'm so blessed. But, you know, I just kind of feel off right now. And you can feel both those feelings at the same time. The other thing that popped into my brain was the fact that when I go through mental health struggles, I'm so open with my bosses about it. I remember going to my, like, big boss one day, literally bawling my eyes out crying. I was like, can I go home? I'm really just not feeling it today. Like, I reckon I'm going to be more of a hazard here. If I stay here, my brain is not on the job. I'm become a hazard. I'm out on the road. I'd prefer to just go home, you know, have a shower, tuck myself in a bed, have a nap, and hopefully I'll come back feeling a little bit better. And, like, I'm so lucky that I have bosses that are so understanding of that. And he was like, yeah, no, like, take your time. It's okay. Gave me a big hug and, you know, and then checked up on me the following week. But not all people are so lucky to have bosses like that. But, yeah, that's just my thoughts on that. All right, now we're going to jump into women in the industry, because, you know, mental health is also really important, but being a woman in this industry also brings its challenges. So let's not sugarcoat it. What's it really like being a woman in the male-dominated industry?
It's a roller coaster. It's character building.
Yeah.
I think that I don't like to glorify the industry, but I also like to say that it has shaped my life in the most positive way, but that has come through its challenges. And I wouldn't be the person I am without being in this industry, so I'm grateful for it. But I just don't want people to come into this industry thinking it's going to be an easy ride, because you're going to face those challenges. There's still the old school mentality. There's still an aging generation that don't really want women in the industry, and you're gonna be told about it. You're going to be looked at funny. You're going to be, I guess, working harder for respect. And that is the reality. But all of those things, if you can get through it, it's just going to make you a driving force in the industry. And I think that that's the most important part is like, yeah, we all have our moments. It's really hard sometimes, but the opportunities are endless once you can, I guess, push through those hard times and really become the person you want to be in the industry and the person you want other people to be in the industry as well.
Yeah, it's so funny when you're saying all of those things. I'm like understanding and relating to each and every one. It really like highlights that I feel like as much as every woman is so different in the industry, we all like feel the same set of standards and circumstances put on us, especially the fact I feel it so commonly than not that I feel like I have to work twice as hard as the boys to get the same amount of respect. And it's like, it's so wild that it's like this. But yeah, truly, if you do push past those challenges, like I know that I've still got endless challenges that I'm going to have to push past. But, you know, I talk about on here all the time that I plan on being a supervisor. And like one of the reasons I want to do that is because one, you know, I get to like see this really cool job come together. But like two, it's because like when I'm a supervisor, I'm going to make space for things like mental health, and I'm going to have a crew that, you know, we can all talk openly and honestly with each other. But not only that, but I'm going to have a job, like a crew and a job site where women are welcomed and they don't feel like they have to work twice as hard. You know, they just like feel like they have to, like, you know, everyone shares the load. So yeah, it's just so funny to me that, you know, you can say all these things and we're in, like, you're in electrical and I'm in civil, but we feel the exact same way.
I think it's like a great career. Like I don't want to sit here and say that it's not a great career. I just really feel like, especially with the presence of social media this day, like a lot of things can be swept under the rug, and I really just want to make sure people are getting an honest and true experience before they sign up to something like this. I obviously get messages all the time from people asking about what it's like in the industry, and if I'm not telling them the truth about what there could be, like, I don't want to be blindsiding them and then come back to me and be like, oh, this was the worst decision I've ever made. Like, how did you not tell me what, you know, like some things are. So, yeah, great career, great option. If you love it, awesome. But just be aware that you are gonna face some speed humps, and that's just the reality of it.
Yeah. And it is so important. That's kind of the idea behind this podcast, is that we're sharing the good, the bad, the ugly. And yeah, I say that all the time too. I love my job and I wouldn't be the woman I am without the industry that I'm in. But yeah, like, it is hard, and, you know, there is, and not only like is it hard, but you're going to have to make sacrifices. Like, the industry's known for like long days, long nights, like, and it's endless. But, you know, those sacrifices will all be worth it in the end if you can get over it. Because, like, yeah, once you, like, I know time and time again I'm going to continue to like hit road bumps, but like even now I'm like, oh, I love my job and I love where I am, and it's such a rewarding feeling to, you know, be climbing that ladder. Like, I finished my traineeship this year, and that in itself, I'm sure you'd remember when you got qualified, is such a liberating, I think that's how you say it, liberating, that's the word. Liberating feeling.
We're tradies, we're not journalists.
Yeah, I say that all the time. I was trying to spell careers the other day and I'm like, oh, I'm a tradie, just leave me alone.
Yeah, exactly that.
How do you handle the tough days, stereotypes? What's your tips, tricks?
Have a good crew around you. Also, let yourself slip. I definitely am an advocate for looking after your mental health and doing the good things, like going to the gym, eating healthy, but just, you know, some days you're just not. And let yourself slip and feel a little guilty and roll around and sleep and whatever. You're going to get back up. And then in those moments where you do slip, have a support system. If you've got like a really good family around you, you know, talk to them about the struggles. If not, like, the tradeswomen community is huge in Australia now. There is so many women out there, which is amazing, that are willing to, I guess, share their experience and let you know that you're not alone in the trade. So just DM us on Instagram, post in one of the social media groups, listen to a podcast. Just know that you're not alone in those dark days, and we all have them, and we all have our own coping to get through them and recipes to get out of them. And you'll find yours, and as you do find yours, many more opportunities will pop up as well.
Yeah. I think that's such an important thing to highlight, let yourself slip. I, being like so young, I'm still like obviously trying to learn, but I am someone that falls into the trap of being like go 24/7. And so commonly or not, I have like my friends and my family be like, Flick, you just need to slow down. And like on those days that I'm having like really bad, like, you know, stress and mental health issues and all those sorts of things, yeah, like I'm learning now that it's okay for me to like, you know, have a sleep in on the weekend and like let my body actually, you know, rest and watch a love story movie and eat some chocolate. Like whatever makes you feel good. And, you know, there's so many things out there, but something I really want to highlight, something I really try and promote on this podcast is like I personally don't choose to turn to alcohol or other substances, and it's something I really want to highlight. You know, just if you've had a bad week at work, I'm not trying to promote, you know, go to the pub on a Friday night and, you know, drink your sorrows away. Like there's healthier ways you can, you know, deal with it, and that's something I just really want to highlight, as I'm sure you would have experienced in the industry yourself.
Yeah, it's definitely an easy trap to fall into for sure, and I know that everyone has their own journey with those kind of relationships. You know, there is way better ways to look after yourself, 100%. So yeah, just look for your resources out there, do what you need to get through, but let people know that you're struggling, and be kind to yourself in those moments. And you know, I kind of look at it, I'm like, what am I going to get out of this? Like, how am I going to feel next week? Like, I'm being told to do this right now by my own body. It's a challenge. I'm sure I'm going to feel good next week. So yeah,
exactly. Do you have any advice for young women entering the trades, finding their voice? Like, what's one piece of advice?
Yeah, I think it's definitely probably some of the things I've already touched on, which is being vulnerable, make those mistakes, but just be kind to yourself when you do. So being vulnerable in your own life and then in your trade journey can lead to a lot of opportunities, as scary as it is. Like once you start, you know, being vulnerable, you realize, oh, it's actually not that bad. Like it actually helped, rather than holding it all in. If you make a mistake, own it. Let someone know you've made that mistake. Learn from it. You're probably going to make it again, and that's so fine. And then just having those two together, I think, is a really good recipe for, I don't know, building yourself as a person and in your trade.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. That's such like a nice, especially as coming from like a young woman in the industry. It's so nice to hear those things from somebody who's been doing it for so long. What is next for you and TradeMutt? Like, you know, you can put them separately together. It's up to you, but what's next? What do you think?
I think I blend my life into TradeMutt at the moment, so I'll just answer it as a collective. I want to see this company grow. I want to continue to hear the experiences of people in the trade. Something that I'd want to see is more people using TX to talk about those situational stresses. I haven't really touched on what TX is, so it is just a QR code under our pockets. Everyone has one in their TradeMutt shirt, and it's all about reaching out for help and speaking to one of our counsellors that's available for you for free. And you get 8 sessions with the same counsellor, which is pretty cool considering, you know, how hard it is to get into a professional these days, and it's available to our whole tradie community and their loved ones as well, which I think is really important. So I really want to see that service grow. The stories that we hear of people using that service and how it's helping them in life is truly amazing. And then, for myself, it's continuing to get out there, advocating for, you know, what I'm passionate about, women in trade, TradeMutt, mental health, my own journey, and seeing where that can take me. So, yeah.
That's so cool. And, one of the reasons we had you on the podcast today, because literally everything you said is something that I support too, and that I'm trying to put the message out there about. But yeah, it's just so great to, you know, see another person about it, and not just another person, but a whole nother company and brand. Where can the listeners find you?
Yeah, awesome. So you can find TradeMutt on their socials. We're on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, which is just TradeMutt, or you can find me at Sparky Voss on Instagram and TikTok. TikTok's just a little fun side hobby, so don't go check that account out. More or less message me on Instagram.
Beautiful, and I will link those in the show notes. But thanks so much for coming on the podcast. I loved having you, and I'm sure the girls loved having you in their ears too.